This exercise seems really simple, but it's actually probably one of the deepest exercises that you could do. The exercise is called your perfect average day. I came across this exercise about 2 or 3 years ago on YouTube. But the power of this exercise and why I think it's valuable for me to share today is that number one, we have August, September, October, November, December, and then there's the new year. So the focus that you gain and how locked in you are within the next 90 days will literally determine how you close your year and how you start 2025. And obviously, starting 2025 with serious momentum will always give you a competitive advantage versus not starting with momentum. And we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. The second reason why I'm sharing this with you today is because sometimes we know all the technical or task-related things that we should be doing in terms of the result that we're going to get. If you're trying to grow on LinkedIn, then after watching my videos, you probably know I should be posting, this is how to post video. I should be going live, this is how to do it. And sometimes we don't need more of that. And what we need is more emotional, motivational. What we need sometimes is just different. This is my attempt to give you something different today. The third degree power of what I'm about to show you is that most of the times when we think about our dream life, you think about a day that's not an average day in your dream life. Maybe you're traveling in a jet, eating lobster in the middle of a sandbar, but it's usually not a day where you work and do average things, like pick your kids up from school. What this exercise is going to do is going to zoom in to your perfect average day in your dream life, which is why the exercise is called Perfect Average Day. Now, why is this important? What does this have anything to do with business, content creation, whatever? It's important because the more that your daily life looks like your perfect average day, the more you close the gap between where you are now and where you want to be on the daily. The more you live a life aligned with your core self, the more magnetic you become, the easier it is for you to create a video and resonate with the right people. You attract better clients and business becomes more effortless because you have more energy to pour into your business and you're happy about it because you're working with the right people, and it just all compounds into something really positive. Now, this seems simple, but it's not. And this is not an exercise that you will do in 10 minutes. You shouldn't be done with this in 10 minutes. We go really deep into this with our clients, and it should probably take them maybe a couple hours a weekend to really think it through and then to start to make the changes. This is the perfect average day for you. And when you think about these answers, when you do this on your own, you want to actually bring a notebook and write down your answers. You want to think about your perfect average day. Where do you wake up? You open your eyes, what does the scenery look like? And maybe it's, oh, I wake up and I'm in a penthouse overlooking New York City. Or, oh, I wake up and I'm very close to the beach. Or I could hear the waves. Whatever it is, then you just want to become aware of it. Where you are now compared to your answer is irrelevant. You just want to actually think about, what does your core self really want? And the power of this exercise is when we zoom in to the microscopic day-to-day of your life, we can start to make changes immediately. Let's say that I live in a closet in a studio in New York City, and let's say that I want to wake up by the beach. The first thing that I could do is I could go print a picture of the beach, or I could go buy a little painting of the beach, and I could put it inside of the closet so that it's right there when I wake up. The second thing I could do is maybe I could get a candle that smells like sea salt. And then the third thing I could do is maybe I could get a white noise machine. The whole point of this exercise is no matter where you are in your life right now, you could start to get close to your perfect average day and start to actually feel closer to what that would look like. And then you never know, maybe in a year you'll actually be on the beach. So it's just the awareness that matters first, the gap, and then the little things of how you could bridge the gap and close the gap really matter after the fact. How do you feel when you wake up? This is really important. Most people think it's the norm that we feel tired, or you talk to an average person and they wake up, they're like, I feel so exhausted. It's just another day. And you probably don't want to feel that way. So really think about, how do you feel? You feel energized, you feel excited. Who would be there with you? And hopefully, if you're in a relationship, It's the same person. If you are not in a relationship, maybe you start to think about the type of person that you're waking up next to. What is the first thing that you do in the morning? And for many of you, that's probably not grabbing your phone. In your perfect average day, what's the first thing that you do in the morning? Maybe it's running at the park. Maybe it's meditating or taking your dog out for a walk. Let's say it's reading the Bible or meditating. Every morning, every day that you don't do that, you distance yourself from your core self. And whether you're aware of it or not, your energy may be different that day. You may not attract the same level of people that day. You don't have the same confidence that day. Your authenticity is not the same because the energy is different. You don't show up the same way to client meetings, to prospect calls, and these little things matter. When do you start work? For some people, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. For other people, it could be 10 or 11. And obviously, if you're starting in your perfect average day at 10 and you have to start at 7 now, then things have to be done to close the gap. What does your office setup look like? Right now, if your office is gray with stale furniture and you think about your perfect average day and you walk in your office and it's emerald green velvet royal chair, then I'm sure you could find something. Who do you serve in your business? And really think about that. When you envision your perfect average day, what type of people are you serving? How big is your team? And this is a big one because some people will come to us and they're like, oh, I want to be a solopreneur forever. Other people will be like, I want to build a team of 1,000 employees. And in their perfect average day, they have a team of like 5 people. What revenue is your company bringing in monthly? What do you sell? If in your perfect average day, the main thing that you sell, let's say, is books and ebooks and whatever. And right now you're selling cameras, you have to bridge the gap. How do you sell it? This is actually huge. We have a lot of people that when they start working with us, they may say, oh, I just don't want to do outbound anymore. I don't want to do cold calling, or the outbound is just so exhausting. And there's a limit to the connections on LinkedIn now, and that's affecting the strategy. And also, as other competitors grow their brand, we're just finding less efficacy with it. I want it to feel easier. And then, of course, they come to us because we're inbound experts. How do you actually sell it? Do people come to you? Do you have to chase? Do you just teach on a webinar? Do they call you? Really think about it. Because if right now you're doing cold calls or cold DMs, and in your perfect average day, you're doing a webinar to 1,000 people, then some skills training needs to start. We have to start thinking, how are we going to start the webinar? How are we going to get people there? So on and so forth. How many hours of work do you have in the morning? 4 hours, 5 hours? I don't know, maybe some of you it's 2 hours. How many hours of work do you have in the morning? And what do you do during those hours? So if right now you're in back-to-back meetings in the morning, and in your perfect average day, you're like, I just want to create in the morning. No client meetings, which was my answer at one point, probably a year and a half ago. And it's the reality now. Then you just have to start getting closer to what your perfect average day is. What do you eat for lunch? Around what time? Who do you eat lunch with? And maybe it's with your partner at home or a coworker or whatever. Or maybe you pick your kid up at daycare or school and you have lunch. And you just make that something that you do. Or maybe you aim to eat lunch with 3 friends a week. What would your afternoon look like? After lunch, after the midday, are you putting in 4 more hours of work? If so, what do those hours look like? Or are you just at a sandbar drinking a pina colada or something? But remember, this is your perfect average day. How would you spend your evening? Who do you spend it with? And how do you feel? Maybe right now, everyone in your house is on their phones in the evening and you envision like, oh, game nights or just doing things more as a family. And so you start to make those changes. What do you do for dinner? And where do you eat dinner? We have this outdoor patio now with a table and all this stuff. And I could already feel like, okay, I'd like to eat outside more. When Entree and Shankar were here, we ate outside. How do I make it so we prioritize eating dinner outside 2 to 3 times a week? What do you do in the 2 hours leading up to bed? Maybe it's reading. And then what are you excited about that's happening the next day? And how do you feel as you close your eyes when you go to sleep? I mean, this is just an appetizer to the actual exercise, but when you do it, give your family a warning or something like leave me alone for an hour or whatever. Wake up early in the morning and just make sure that you almost don't self-filter your answers. You almost have to just feel it. That's the perfect average day exercise. When you do the exercise, once you have your answers, you want to almost put a line in the middle of the paper and then compare your answer to where you are now. You ask yourself, what's the easiest way that I have control of today to close this gap? And if you're waking up in a closet in New York City and your answer is the beach, then we gave the example of the candle, the picture. You could change your screensaver as well, and you could put white noise on your phone. You've already done something to close that gap. Then you just reiterate for every single one. And what this also does is it gives you complete control where you can get closer to living your actual dream life today. And the closer that you get, the closer you'll see that it will actually happen, and you'll start to become a 2.0, 3.0, whatever version of yourself. And people will just notice that. You'll just see the numbers in your content go up. People will resonate with you. They'll feel something. The type of clients that you'll start working with, you'll just vibe with because you're actually aligning and starting to live a life that's aligned with your core self. And I appreciate you so much. Watch the exercise. Let me know how you like it. God bless you. Ciao.